some of you act like there's an expiry date on your specific person, or there's an expiry date on your manifestation. Listen, something I get asked all the time is, what is the quickest way to manifest? And the moment you decide right now, I am loved, I am in a relationship with my person, I am wealthy, I am healthy. The moment you decide, you have selected that. That's like me picking up this remote and I've selected this series to watch called Angela. I'm about to watch it, okay? The moment you make that decision, you then go about your life as if that is who you are. You don't let anything stray you away from that. You know, I've used many analogies to explain how you do this. You know, once you've made that decision, that is inevitable. You're going to get what you want. But some of you are so panicked, like, yeah, no, but it's been 3 months. So, if I told you right now and I had some psychic ability and I said, in 3 months and 15 days, you are going to be with your specific person. And let's just say that was a thing where people could predict that, right? How would you go about your days from now until that moment if you knew it was a fact that that's what you were going to get? You wouldn't worry about what people say, what people do, if you were seeing signs or not. You wouldn't care about any of that stuff. You wouldn't care. You just go about your life knowing that that's yours. Okay, and the reason why, we're saying affirmations and things like that as well. You don't have to affirm like all the time. Affirming is just thinking. So we're always thinking. So once you've made that decision, of course, you're gonna be thinking from that perspective of having what you want. So when you're going about your life and, I don't know, let's say you're manifesting an SP and you decide, right, we're together. I don't care what's going on, You go to town, you go to have a coffee and you I don't know, drive past and you see him stood outside his car talking to another woman. Okay? The old you might panic and think, oh my God, he's talking to this woman, you don't want me. But the new you that's decided you're together, you go, no, it doesn't matter. Circumstances don't matter. I know my decision is my decision. I don't care what you're doing, what she said, what they're doing, I don't care about anything. I've made that decision and you carry on going about your day. So many of you get too caught up on what's going on in 3D. It doesn't matter. There is no expiry date on what you want because everything you want exists because you created it. Creation is done. You can't not have something. If you can imagine it or desire it, you can have it. Because if you couldn't, you wouldn't even be able to imagine it or desire it. So when you desire to have a new job or a new car or, I don't know, some new clothes or more money or to get pregnant or to have better health results or to grow your hair longer or to, get your SP to propose to you, you've got to make that decision and go to the end like Neville spoke about. Live in the end. Okay, like when Neville was talking about going to Barbados, but how? You're in Barbados. You don't care about the how, the when, the where, the why. You just persist in the assumption that you have it. However you do that is up to you. It doesn't really matter. But you persist in the assumption until it hardens into fact. There is no expiry date on what you want. There is no expiry date on your specific person. There's no expiry date on the money you want, the job you want, anything. Everything, once you've made that decision, it's like a domino effect. All these things are happening. You can't see them happening. But once you've made that decision, all the things that are happening in order for you to get what you want are happening. So you might have applied for a job and it's the role you want, the perfect role. And maybe you've not heard back for 2 weeks. And then you start thinking, oh, maybe they've given it to someone else. You immediately say, no. That job's mine. I've got the job. That's mine. That's my job. Okay. And then let's say a week later you hear from them and they say, I'm really sorry, but we've given the job to someone else. Okay. And you go, oh, doesn't work. No, you keep persisting. See, too many of you give up just because the 3D world said no. It doesn't matter. You keep persisting. It doesn't matter what they say, what they do. You keep persisting with, I've got the job. Because if you do that, then a series of events, things will happen in order for you to get that job. Maybe 2 weeks later, they ring you and go, oh, the person, didn't want the job and we want to offer it to you. Or maybe they call you and say, look, we've got another position opening that is basically the same job, but you get paid more. There's so many roundabout ways that you can get what you want, but you guys give up the moment the 3D says no and you let the 3D have power over you when you're the one that's got the power. You have to persist no matter what. If the job rings up and says you haven't got the job, you have got the job. If your SP says they don't want you, it doesn't matter. You're together. It does not matter. You've got to stop focusing on what's out here, what they said, what they did. You're giving power away. You're literally saying, okay, yeah, that's true. It's not. You just persist until it hardens into fact.